Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs. It's been a little bit of time since my last vlog, but hopefully now we'll be getting more onto a regular sort of outlay. But in this one, we're going to be looking at a chap called Charles Walker. He's an MP and he's quite insistent about what you're going to see because he watched an elderly person, a lady in her 70s, be accosted, arrested, and then basically manhandled by the police into the back of a police van just outside of the Houses of Parliament in London. And he was absolutely outraged, as I'm pretty sure you will be once you see this footage. Now, I'm going to show this in a sort of reverse order. I'm going to show you first the reaction from Charles Walker, and I'm going to show you the actual incident just outside of the Houses of Parliament where this lady gets arrested and then carried by a number of officers, like almost spread-eagled, and she's in her 70s, this lady, into the back of a van. And then I'm going to show you the sequence of events that led up to that. So it'll be Charles Walker being quite incandescent, I think is the best way to describe it. Then I'm going to show you what happened just before he went inside the Houses of Parliament, and I'm going to show you how the police actually followed this lady. She was holding up a sign, and you can barely read the sign. I must admit, if I was to say anything to this lady, it's try and space the wording out on your sign, a little bit better. Try and use a contrasting colour, because it's sort of like a reddish colour against a brownish background, and it's always look for something on the opposite side of the colour wheel. If you don't know what that is, just do a quick Google search on the colour wheel, and if you try and use opposing colours for your protest placards, that would make it a lot easier for people like me who are observers of this to actually see what's going on. But anyway, I'll stop my prattling on, and I'll pass you over to Charles Walker, and I'll see you on the other side.
This is a disgrace. This is un-British. It is unconstitutional. And this government, our Prime Minister, needs to end these injustices now. Madam Deputy Speaker, will you bring the Prime Minister and or the Home Secretary here today to sort this out? She was an old lady robbed of her dignity for having the courage to protest about having her fundamental rights and those of my constituents and others removed.
Orders as police officers. You must have mothers. What an outrage. What a disgrace. Why is she arrested?
Because we're being controlled by China.
You ready for the repercussions of what you do?
That's an old lady we've been watching from up there. What's she done?
She's 78.
She's 78, is she?
Assistant beach COVID regulations.
What COVID regulations? She's an old lady. We've been watching. She was just on her own. What's she done?
That's a persistent beach of COVID
But
regulations.
what regulation is she doing?
She's not got an exemption for protest. Protesters
How many of them were there? Two of them? One of them?
No, lots more before 6. You know the full story, you see.
I do know that you're arresting an old lady for demonstrating the right to protest. This is a disgrace.
It's China.
I know something. I'm a member of Parliament. This is an absolute disgrace. This is a disgrace. She's an old lady. You don't need to obey legal orders as police officers. You must have mothers. What an outrage. What a disgrace.
Hope you're listening to him. You lost your bloody hearts. Following orders like Nuremberg.
She has a fundamental right to protest. You're arresting her. It will be talked about in Parliament. So who is this lady?
So you ready for what you started then? Yeah.
Sorry, what MP is, doesn't matter. I'm a member of Parliament for Broxbourne.
You ready for that?
Find out how old she is. Let me know who she is, and I'll raise it in Parliament.
Ask her how.
Email me who she is,
do you know who she
what
is?
she's allegedly done, and email it to Charles Walker, okay? Don't worry about it. This is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
She wanted to know how old she was.
Well, 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 ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, that's quite disgraceful behaviour from the police. The bit you're now going to see is what led up to the events that led this lady to be arrested by the police, accosted, well, assaulted in my book. This is the problem you find with British policing. They get any slight bit of power and it goes to the head. And I'm saying this as somebody whose brother was actually a police officer in Northumbria. He left a while ago because he told me, I mean, he was a great copper. He was one of the best drivers in the police force. He normally would get to somewhere two or 3 minutes before everybody else. And he was a bloody good copper. But he told me, he said, when I go to detect a crime and I'm more concerned about getting the paperwork right than apprehending the criminal, that's when I know it's time to leave. And he did leave, and he followed me into the IT profession. And he's making a bloody good job of it as well. He mainly does Ministry of Defence stuff. I do everything pretty much except Ministry of Defence stuff. It's a bit weird how that's worked out. So yeah, what you're now going to see is what's now endemic within the British police force, which is where they are acting like literal Nazis, like the brown shirts of 1920s, 1930s Germany, where they think they can just do what they like. They can interfere in anybody's lives any which way and how they please, which they can't. And this is going to backfire massively on the police. Massively. There's a massive amount of animosity growing on a daily basis towards the police. And in Britain, they're police with consent. And when people start ignoring them, when they withdraw the consent, and then what will happen is, hopefully not, but this is where I see it going, is people are going to start actually assaulting police. It's going to be a case where they literally won't be able to walk down the street, because people are going to be sick and tired. It's going to get to a stage where people are just going to snap, and it's going to be the police and the police services who are going to suffer because of this. And it's not going to end well if they keep going, because it's only ever going to get worse. But let's just watch and see what happens and how this lady ended up in what we used to call the Black Mariah, so which is the police van. So watch this, and you'll be amazed at how it goes from a lady holding a sign to her being manhandled and assaulted by the police force and chucked in the back of the paddy wagon.
We're going for a walk towards my home. We're walking home.
Madam, we need to talk to you.
That's the way we're going.
Leave her alone! Leave her alone!
I've talked through with 501 Alpha. Think about it. You great. No crime has been committed. Stop it!
Anyone want to do it? Have business with the dogs?
Stand back, please. Stand back. Stand back. Move back, please. Move back. Okay, that's what we do. Staying with us. Don't obstruct, please. Right, please. Please move back.
Can you please? Please, can you keep back? Can you keep back?
Shout at officers? Yeah, because you're going to hit my officers. Put your hands down and calm down. Calm down. Right, calm down now. Don't be so aggressive and don't try and hit the officers. You are. You've been aggressive from the start. You've been arrested for it. Oh, yeah. What for?
Breaching the COVID legislation.
I got arrested for that on Wednesday. I got NFA. No, I got NFA. No. Because it's not lawful to act.
What is it?
Well, the act you just stipulated for me, coronavirus bill act. It's not lawful.
Unlawful.
Unlawful, unratified. Yeah, it's got no standing, no legal precedence.
Not true.
I just got NFA for it, sir.
I'm not disputing that, but that doesn't mean that it's not true.
But I got NFA for the reasons that I just gave to you on record. I went and had an interview and I explained my position and I got NFA.
I don't know the specifics of your case.
No, but I'm explaining it to you, sir.
What is not okay?
What's she done, poor old lady? I'll get those for her. What's she done?
Nothing.
Why are you arresting her? What? Why is she being arrested?
Because we're being controlled by China.
You ready for the repercussions of what you do?
Aye. I mean, that's disgraceful, and it's becoming more and more like a totalitarian state. You know, I've read a lot of history because of what happened in the Second World War. Well, actually, specifically what happened between the First and the Second World Wars, as well as what happened in the Second World War. I've done, I don't know, years of research. I've read so many books and watched so many documentaries, and I just gathered so much information into my head, into my memory palace, if you like. When I first saw this back in sort of January, February, March time, I saw these restrictions. I don't like it. It's turning more into sort of like late 1920s, 1930s Germany, where they had the SA, the brown shirts, which then eventually the black shirts took over. The SA were eventually disbanded. But this actual British policing is more sort of like intimidation and nothing short of bullying and thuggery. And this, of course, is not the British way that we do things, and I think it needs to stop now, really. Right, that's me for this particular episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you think I deserve it, and most importantly of all, tell anyone else who you think might be interested in this content. I'll be gratefully appreciative of that. Don't forget, if you wouldn't mind sending Charles Walker an email, just tell him what you think about what's going on. You know, I'm going to send one and thank him for what he's done, because he really did insist with both the police on the street and with members of Parliament in the Houses of Parliament, that this just was not acceptable. And he's right 100%. Okay, that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye now.